Hola, bon dia. Carl Monson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. This is our accessibility special. The Doc is normally here on a Wednesday. Here he is now. Good morning to you, Doc. And on the move, I see there. Very, very mobile. Yes, the exemplification of mobility this morning, talking to us from the vehicle. And Sergio, our new friend, Sergio Vieira is here as well from the Ericeira, Torres Vedras area of Portugal this morning. He's got something to say about this as well. Good morning to you, Sergio.
Hello, good morning.
Great.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Sergio.
Hey, that's working. You would not believe how difficult it's been before we got onto the air this morning, but that seems to be working very well. I don't mean to tempt fate or anything like that, but here we are, three men talking, and I've got a nice photo to share with you of Sergio as well. So, in case you've never joined us on a Wednesday, this is Ask Anything About Portugal, but it seemed only right at some point in the shows that we do on every weekday morning to talk about disability accessibility in Portugal. And it's a curate's egg. I think it's a bit of a mixed review. Some of the newer things are good. Some things are pretty terrible. Let's be honest about that. So do feel free to get your questions in. If they are accessibility, disability focused, that would be great, including your observations. Thank you very much for that lovely cup of tea incoming. Your experience of Portugal yourselves, have you thought to yourselves, wow, that drop curb looks a bit severe? Or how on earth is somebody in a wheelchair going to get around this tourist attraction? Those sorts of things. We've obviously got the natural problem of quite hilly terrain and the old calçadas, the great leveler, as I think it's called, that can be a problem for everybody. But let's go to the people who have first-hand experience of this. Sergio, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Welcome to the show. It's great to make your acquaintance.
Thank you. I found out that so I have an accident first.
Yep.
I broke my feet in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear. It's great. The connection's working beautifully.
Okay. And 2 years later, I found out that I have MS. MS is you know what it is.
Multiple sclerosis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was getting worse on my mobility.
Uh-huh.
Then I went to the zoo in Lisbon.
Yeah.
And I asked him if they have anything for me to make the visit on the park. They said they don't have nothing, and I create a task force inside of me, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to try to fix the way that I can.
Fantastic. So you're inspired by that terrible moment, by the sound of it.
Exactly.
I mean, that does sound pretty terrible, I've got to say. To go for a day out of the zoo, presumably you're with other people, you might have been with your family. And then, can you help me? Are there any mobility vehicles, or are there any adaptations so that I can enjoy the zoo as well? No, is the answer that seems to have come. Now you're on a journey with a task force, as you put it, this is not just at the zoo, right? This is all over Portugal, presumably, to create better access for people with disabilities, people in wheelchairs, all over the country. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how do we support you? How do we get involved with that? I mean, I'm sure the doc is nodding his head already, and I'm sure he'll be very happy to help. And I think not just from a point of view of somebody using a wheelchair. I think Doc is involved in, I know Doc's involved. Anyone who knows Doc knows he's involved in politics. But I think it'll be a force to be reckoned with in joining your task force. So I think there's three of us already, and I'm sure other people will be thinking, yeah, this isn't fair. This is something that needs addressing, and maybe will want to take on a bit of a responsibility in the area that they live in their part of Portugal. So how's it going? Where are you with it? How do people get involved, Sergio?
I belong to the SPAN society.
Okay.
And I was invited to create a nucleo here in Torres Vedras.
Okay.
SPAN Oeste.
Right.
I'm the coordinator. This was too fast. It was like in 2 years I belong to the world. I was creating lots of opportunities for me and for the people who needs to.
Yes.
I belong to the SPAN and the SPAN. On the SPAN, I create all these projects that I would like to do to myself and the others. I would like to create a task force or something that people come to me and ask. Can I go visit that park over there? And they have all the things that you need to do the visit for mobility.
Yes.
And I will say that yes, they have or they don't have it. You gotta rent one or something.
Yes. So a kind of like a trip advisor maybe for mobility and accessibility.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is great. And Doc again is nodding his head in the car there. He's got a few computer skills. This kid. I think we've got a plan. It's like the A team, the AAA team, Access All Areas team. Doc, can you just for people who don't know you, can you briefly bring us up to date on where you're at and your experience in Portugal so far on this subject?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, very briefly, I had a stroke 5 years ago when I was 50, 5 years ago when I was 50. And as a result, I can't walk very far, and that's my big mobility issue. As you can see, I can drive in an adapted car. So I have a wheelchair to take me around normally anything more than sort of 20 or 30 meters. When I first came to Portugal, I was based in Coimbra, the centre of which is fantastically wheelchair friendly. However, Sergio's experience was my experience in that when I went to go and visit some of the historical places, some of them had wheelchair access, some of them didn't. Sometimes you'd see a ramp up to the front of a building, and then there'd be a 3-inch step, which served no purpose except to stop people in wheelchairs getting into the building. And the same is true of shops, etc. I think there are three main areas that we need to concentrate on. One, as Sergio just said, is having a sort of a database of places, and they're naming that, saying what their accessibility is. This serves two purposes. On the one hand, it helps those looking for places to go. But on the other hand, it kind of shames those who aren't really up to the mark. So I think we don't just put the people who are providing access, we put the people who aren't providing access, and they're falling short. So that's the first sort of arm of this project, I think. The second arm is ensuring that the law is followed. So the law in Portugal, there's some fantastic legislation in Portugal, which really sort of follows, and in some cases leads the European experience. So they have laws which say that whenever there are pavements and new roads put in, that there have to be wheelchair accessibility, etc. And it's not just about wheelchairs, but that's my experience. But of course, those laws aren't always applied. So we need to make sure that the law is applied. And finally, I think we need a campaign for new legislation. So we need to raise the awareness of the issues among the legislators. One of the things which I found helpful in the UK was to manage to get hold of a local councillor and get them to come around an area with me and point out the difficulty and the danger caused by mismatched curbs, drop curbs, and cars parking on pavements. Don't talk to me about cars parking on pavements, honestly. In the rear, it's horrendous. It's safer sometimes to just go down the road. So those are the three main areas. But the thing that underpins all this is that people with disabilities in the UK, certainly, I don't know about here, because my Portuguese is insufficient for me to get as involved yet as I would like to be. But we had a phrase in the UK which was nothing about us without us. In other words, we had to be at the heart of everything. We don't want to be given things. We need to be involved in formulating the answers.
Yep. That's a great phrase, isn't it? Nothing about us without us. Otherwise, it can be a little bit thoughtless and patronising, etc., etc. So, yeah, that's a really good step forward, isn't it? And yeah, to involve. Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious thing to do, really, isn't it? Is to involve the people who are going to be using the facility to change the general consciousness about this. The other thing I would say before we come back to you, Sergio, and I'm hoping you're going to be welcoming the doc to your task force on the basis of that very quick job interview there. I think he's successfully passed that. Is that actually this is very good marketing for organisations and tourist attractions. The people who step up and embrace it fully will be getting a load of new customers. Like, if one person in the family can't go, the whole family can't go. And if they become an example in society and within the tourism industry, that's going to be good for business as well. So it's like a holistic benefit, I would have thought. Sergio, do you like the sound of what the doc's suggesting already there?
Yeah, exactly. It's all true. We have certain rules. Certain laws here in Portugal then that doesn't allow to create accessibility for everybody.
Yeah.
We need to fix it.
We need to fix it.
Exactly. We need to fix that.
Okay.
About the rest, you live in Coimbra, Doc. It's you have a lot of calçada, right?
Indeed. Well, Doc, you were in Coimbra, right? You're in Leiria now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Leiria.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But still, the same is true. I think calçada is probably a little bit of a challenge. Let's just say hello to a few people who are tuned in this morning. This is Ask Anything About Portugal, special angle on accessibility and mobility. I mean, feel free to ask other questions. Doc is an expert all round on Portuguese life as an expat. Sergio is an expert on Portuguese life because he's a Portugueser and he's with us this morning. I'm sure he'll be very happy to teach us expats a thing or two. And Lord knows we need to be taught from time to time. So, Sergio, are you up for that? Giving us your Portuguese view on any questions that this wonderful community has?
Exactly.
Okay, he's here to help us with that. Fantastic. Prosecco Peggy is here. I don't know if you've heard of her, Sergio. The Algarve community know Prosecco Peggy. Bon dia, Carl and Doc. And I'll extend that to you, Sergio. Another beautiful day. Good to hear it down in the Algarve. Hola, bon dia. It's sunny again. Whoopee! Here near Southampton. You see, Sergio, when UK people get a sunny day, they say things like whoopee. Whereas, in Portugal, it's just we take it in our stride. It's kind of every day. Well, 300 days anyway. Good morning, people from Lee McGrady, who's out in the sunshine this morning, gardener, our head gardener around Lisbon this morning. Bon dia, alegria from a beautiful sunny farm this morning. Looking very happy there, Doc and Carl. Morning, Peggy. Can't wait for you to pop over. Morning, Pete. And Pete goes on to say, actually, morning, Sergio. My dad and brother had and have MS. My sympathies to you. The MS Society in the UK was great. Is there something similar in Portugal? So first question, you did mention it. There is an MS organization in Portugal, right, Sergio, for any expats who might want to join that?
Yeah, it is. Yes. The SPAM, the Portuguese Society of MS, the organization that I belong to now.
Yep.
And they give all the support to the people they need.
Yeah. Okay. So the Portuguese Society of MS. I'll put that in the comments as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Well, that's good to know that there is an organisation, and I dare say that other disability organisations will be hopefully have a joined up approach. That's often a challenge, but hopefully they'll be lobbying together. The Doc will teach them how to do that. Don't worry. Good morning, lovely people from Dominico. And yeah, Torres Vedras is the part of Portugal where Sergio might tell us a little bit about that. Actually, a little bit outside Torres Vedras, I think in a beautiful part of Portugal on the coast near Ericeira. But we'll come back to Sergio on that to whet our appetites about his part of Portugal. Bon dia, Peggy, Carl, and Doc, and Sergio. Incredible to be watching Doc driving. Technology is great sometimes. How has the connectivity helped since the stroke, Doc?
How has the connectivity helped? Without the internet, I would have a very much more, less interesting and more incredibly difficult life. So, I do a lot more online these days. I got very used to having shopping delivered back in the UK before the pandemic. Simply not because I couldn't go and shop, but because when you're disabled, everything physical takes considerably more time, and life's too short, right? So I use the internet to shorten the length of time spent on mundane tasks, so that I preserved as much time as possible for living life, including traveling to Portugal, and researching everything I needed to know. So yeah, the connectivity is so important. During the lockdown, it was even more so.
I suspect Ian's referring to general sort of assistive technology as well. And clearly, a man who's driven from Portugal to the UK, a trip which we documented. And the thing that sticks in my mind is you being rescued by a minibus full of French police women. For some reason, I don't know why that was. But anyway, Antonio F. is saying, bon dia. Emma Doherty is saying, bon dia, guys. Interesting chat. I will need help too ahead of my hip replacement. Yeah, of course, because I imagine you will have your mobility limited there, and possibly be using scooters and wheelchairs and that sort of thing, and it becomes an issue very suddenly. That's a few months away, says Emma. Sergio, look to the Doc, my dear friend, for inspiration, says Emma there. He's already in, Emma. Thank you for that. But I think we've already got an alliance forming here. Hola, bon dia, alegria, Carl, Doc, and Sergio from Jordinja this morning in the UK. How are you? thank you for all your kind words recently, Jordan. Really appreciate it. And Paul Richards is here in the Algarve. In case you didn't know, greetings from São Rafael. Still house hunting, but loving the Algarve. Paul, are you looking further north, I wonder? Ian Turner, as you know, I have a great interest in athletics. In the UK, the Paralympic movement is very strong and supports athletes of all ages. What is the situation in Portugal? One for you there, Sergio. Paralympians, is that a strong movement in Portugal?
Interesting, that question. Very interesting. I spoke with the person who is his name is George Pina. He went blind because of the accident, but he's still doing his exercise, and he made a foundation to help people who have the same condition that he has. It's an interesting point of view.
Yeah.
And the Paralympic, we are doing right on that how can I say, can you help me, please?
Well, in that particular area, absolutely. No, we get the gist, and we are so grateful to you, Sergio, for speaking English with us. This is as a moot point, and it's slightly embarrassing point that this is an English. Well, not embarrassing, but this is an English-speaking radio show service, and sometimes we are reminded how poor our Portuguese is. I do appreciate you being here this morning and talking in English to us. Your English is excellent, may I say. So not just patronising, says Elaine McGuirk. It's totally useless, and you're usually useless. This is the approach when it's, as Doc was saying, nothing about us without us as a policy. Bon dia alegria all from Mike Campion in Maastricht, I believe, last time seen there anyway. Emma Doherty, it's a miracle to have sun in Winchester. Good morning. This is how excited they are in the UK, Sergio. Peter Bleach, feeling a little bad. Just put in about a kilometre of calçada. They are beautiful. Surely suspension on wheelchairs could be adapted. Calçada friendly wheelchair, Doc. Is it possible? Yes. Sergio, Doc, calçada. How do you deal with that? Those little cobbles everywhere in Portugal.
Oh, difficult. Very difficult.
Yes. They show no mercy to anybody, right?
No, it's beautiful, but it's very difficult to walk on the calçada.
Yes, yeah.
But we gotta create places to walk on 7 cities. Lisbon, for example, Lisbon is way difficult to walk. And things like that.
Yes.
Lisbon, Leiria, Coimbra, Porto, Algarve, Quarteira, something like that.
So this is how the task force is going to begin, by focusing on 7 specific areas, yeah?
Exactly. We have another thing. Some people have difficulties at home, like on the bathroom, on to get inside the house, and they need help to fix the problems they have. So.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to create a task force that gives more to the people.
Yes.
Because we cannot forget one thing: the future belongs to us, right?
Yeah. Indeed.
We never
to
know
all of us.
what. Sorry.
No, to everybody, absolutely. Yeah, not just some people, and not just those people who've stepped in to claim the future. Absolutely right.
Exactly.
And you need the consultation of everybody who has a stake in the future of our collective life. And you make a very good point, Sergio, about, so it's one thing to create better accessibility in the public areas, but if somebody's got a problem at home, like they can't have a bath or something along those lines, they need help as well in that, in the more private domestic areas of their life. In our time in history, with the amount of technology that is available, the amount of money in the world, there shouldn't be a problem of this kind, I wouldn't have thought. But Doc will obviously know this is a problem of distribution of resources, right, Doc? Oh, we've lost him now. He's frozen up. He's made the transition back to his apartment. How amazing. Did you catch that, Doc?
No, I didn't. Carry on. What was that?
I was just saying there's a slight problem in the world, possibly, about the distribution of resources and how it is for people who might have a challenge just having a bath at home. That shouldn't be happening in the world we live in.
No, exactly. Yes, it's a question of distribution of resources and prioritization. So, there's lots of competing priorities, but people forget that those with disabilities can't take for granted what so many others do.
Yeah, indeed.
And it's the need to reprioritize and educate people into the experience of their and understand that it can be them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I went from I was never particularly fit, but I used to do hill walking. I used to happily go skiing once every couple of years. And overnight, I couldn't even walk. I had to learn to walk again. This can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And so it's in everyone's interest to make sure that the resources are there.
Yep. Absolutely right. Colin Ross Jones is here, everybody. He's the man who heads up our property search at if you're looking for somewhere to live and you need help when you're abroad. Colin Ross Jones is doing an amazing job with that, and he's of course the person who introduced us to Sergio Vieira, who joins us this morning. Colin says of you, Sergio, wonderful to hear my dear friend online. How he stays so positive amazes me. It is coming from Colin this morning. Bon dia from UK. What's the electric system like there? Okay, so yes, this is for charging up vehicles, but perhaps. I know plugs may be different, but can I use electrical appliances? Will they power up the same mixers, blenders, etc.? So yeah, well, a general question about voltage, but a specific angle on this for accessibility and assistive technology, scooters, etc. Doc, that might be one for you, having faced that challenge.
Yeah. First of all, let me say hi to Emma. I didn't realise it was my friend Emma on the other end of that in Winchester. So in terms of voltage, so Portugal generally is around 220 volts, and so there isn't generally an issue. The other useful thing is that they have the tendency in the UK to make sockets inaccessible. Is not so much here. So I've often found electric sockets in malls and other public areas and shops where you don't find them in the UK. And when I ask if I can use them to charge my wheelchair, I've got a sort of yes, of course answer, not a I'll have to go and ask the manager answer.
Yes. That's a great. There you go, Sergio. So that's one thing that where Portugal seems to perform well there. I completely see that from a different aspect, Doc. But people are very cool about plugging in, aren't they? Charging up your phone, and that's a great point there. Why are electrical sockets down where only like a tiny proportion of the population can comfortably use them? It doesn't make sense, really, does it? Or maybe it did make sense years ago, and it's just a habit that's kept on. But yeah, over here in Portugal, you'll see a lot of waist level plugins, won't you? Sockets there. So it is, yes, pretty much the same voltage as UK, slightly different, but not it's negligible. I think it can cause problem to motors over a long time, but it will power up the same, but a different. You need an adapter, or probably what the doc does, what I do, cut the plug off and put a Portuguese one on. It's going to be a whole lot easier. Joel, bon dia from Matosinhos today. What's it like? What's accessibility, mobility like in Matosinhos? Feel free to say that, folks. I mean, we're beginning we're hoping to help Sergio with his task force that he's already begun here. If we can get a few people from the expats community helping out as well, let us know what it's like in your part of Portugal, what could be improved, and do take to the forum as well. If I can offer this in the meantime, Sergio, we have a forum at Expats Portugal, and it's open to anybody. It's a public forum. That might be a good place to start talking about this. If you don't have any technology at all, that might be a good beginning before you have your own specific bespoke website developed for this. The TripAdvisor for accessibility. Let's see what other questions, comments coming in. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Carl, for all the good stuff, helpful information. It's a pleasure, Gemini, absolutely. And I'm delighted to have Doc and Sergio with me this morning, talking specifically on this. Doc driving and on the proper side of the car. Wrong side, you mean, Joel? We'll let those two discuss that. Bon dia from Capricorn 12. Colin Ross Jones, at least no problem using all UK electrics in Portugal with an adapter. It's better as UK plugs have a fuse fitted. Okay, so to keep with the fuse, that is a bit scary, isn't it? That yes, sometimes there's no fuse and no earth in so many plugs, but you know, it's okay. The morning, says Stephen Wells. Pete Bleach, hold on a minute. I think a refutal, is that a rebuttal here from Joel. Pete Bleach, no, it's the right side. Besides, we no longer live in the medieval ages where you needed the right hand free for the sword anymore. Okay, castles. Doc is a big fan of the castles, and that's the big challenge, presumably. Castles are at the top of hills. They weren't made with accessibility and mobility in mind. That would be a great project, wouldn't it, to get the castle?
Carl, I was hoping to show a film this morning, but the production facility kind of broke down last night. But so Leiria Castle has just installed 3 lifts. So on one side of the hill, there is a almost like a funicular with a small lift going up the side of the hill. On the other side, by the cathedral, there's a 2-stage lift to take you up to the level of the outer part of the castle, the old walled village. When I got off the funicular, it was still far too steep to go up on my chair, so I ended up walking around the castle, which was really killed me. But I was so looking forward to it, I wasn't going to let that beat me, so I just left the chair with the security guard. But they'd actually done a lot to try and make life easier for people in wheelchairs. The only thing they hadn't done, and they could have done, where they could have put a zigzag ramp into the entrance to enable people on chairs to go up it more easily. But they have done a very good job considering what they're working with. And there are ramped areas inside the castle. There are obviously areas that aren't ramped, so the access to the final central keep. But most of it, they've done very well.
Very good. Shout out for Leiria Castle there. I think it's quite a lot of work has been going on in the castle. So let's credit where it's due. So Sergio, what would be an example? What's your favorite place to go, or somewhere where you think they are doing a good job, like Leiria Castle, that other wheelchair users, people with mobility issues might think to go to?
Doc, did you went to to Óbidos?
No, not yet. It's on my list of places to go to this summer.
It's a better castle, isn't it, Sergio?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
No, impossible.
Well, I was there the other day and I was assessing it from a mobility point of view, and there's a central flag path. It's not ideal, and who am I to say? But from my sort of cursory glance and from my perspective, which is the only one I can give, there was a central flagstone that goes around the town. and it looked fairly good. What's your view on it then, Sergio? Are you asking the question because you think they've done quite a good job at Obidos?
No, 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 not that, not that. It's very difficult to walk inside of the rabbits.
Okay.
It's very difficult, very difficult.
Oh dear.
But
Okay.
but I saw some places that they don't have all the conditions that we need.
Yeah.
Including Mafra. Here in Ericeira, we need something to go to the sand
Yes.
to touch the steam, like you know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'll come back to that if I may, Sergio, because look, I've got a picture here of Obidos Castle on the left there. I wanted to mention this morning because that's the aqueduct. I beg your pardon, and you see the castle up on the hill. It's a dramatic picture. And after I posted this up, Victor Lopes says this the Aqueduto do Isera, 1573, Queen Caterina, wife of King João III. Now check this out. Some men are asked to put shelves up. Okay. This wife asked for 6 kilometers of aqueduct to bring fresh water to the castle. And he did it. Look at it. It's amazing. So think yourselves lucky. If you've got a few jobs to do around the house, you haven't got to build a 6 kilometer aqueduct at least. So think yourself lucky. So I think good effort there from King João III there, and it is a better castle, I think. But we'll have Battle of the Castles at a different time. Sergio, going to the beach then, yes. In Spain, I was, and sorry to mention, causing a possible diplomatic outrage here, but I went to Spain with my mate Damien for Christmas once. He's a wheelchair user, and we went to Nerja, of all places, with my mate in a wheelchair, and we discovered that we could have done some better planning before going. The roads around Nerja are terrifying. There's a lot of amazing stories associated with that trip. It was pretty hilarious, but there was at least a boardwalk down to the sea. And I know some beaches have these great big sort of buggies now. You need big wheels, don't you? Is there anything like that anywhere in Portugal? Are they doing that down in the Algarve yet?
I guess so. I guess in Algarve they have some beaches who has the how you call it.
Or
they put a road who goes through the sand.
Yeah.
To wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Nazare has them.
Cool.
And the other thing is, if people are buying wheelchairs, they need to think about what they're going to be using them for. There are so many different versions around now.
Yes.
So mine is pretty crazy. Carl, you'll see it later, but it's got some off-road wheels with low pressure tubeless tires, so that'll go on sand. And if you have the option when you buy a chair or a scooter, go for low pressure tubeless tires. You might end up replacing them more often because of their low pressure, and you might get less range, which may be an issue, but you will be more comfortable on the calçadas, and you'll also be able to go places where other chairs can't go.
Good tip. Sergio, on that point of view, if people are moving to Portugal and they need to buy a scooter or any other kind of assistive technology, disability supplies of any kind, do you find that Portugal is well served? And does the government health service help at all in this department?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, okay. Portugal is doing is creating now more opportunities and they're creating certain departments that you can ask the difficulties that you have, and they will tell you in important things, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but we gotta have more.
Yep. No question. No.
Yeah, I mean the immediate place to go if you do need something and you think you might get help from the government is to go to the Social Security office, the Balcon d'Inclusion, and I was told that I would be given an occupational therapy and a physiotherapy assessment for the particular task that I needed help with, and then they would say yes or no, I need help, and I'd be able to go and get 3 quotes for the item in question, and then they would make a funding decision, which is, it's a reasonable process. They're not just saying, okay, you can have this thing that's been designed by committee and will last 2 weeks.
Yes, very good. Oh, that's encouraging to hear. So make sure you get registered, folks, for the Portuguese health system as part of your whole integration with your residencia. Susan Renshaw, for you, good morning, Sergio. Best wishes from your neighbour in Torcefal, Torres Vedras, this morning. Thank you for that, Susan. Colin, so you think we should change gear with our strongest hand? Oh, you only have to mention motoring, and it starts a few fellas up talking about various aspects of cars. I would expect nothing less. Good knowledge of history. Still think we should bring back jousting. A little medieval here, says Peter Blue. Maybe Pete will host a jousting competition on his land there. Mobility scooters welcome. That actually, it could be a mobility scooter based jousting competition. Doc would probably have a big advantage in that, and Sergio possibly. Depends on what you consider strong hand. Oh, they're still talking about medieval customs here. Mine is definitely the left hand, the stronger. And to be simple, when opening a car door for a lady, one uses the right hand for courtesy. Good point of order. And that's a gentleman to the core. Most appliances have an auto transformer in these days, so no real issues with EU-wide in that regard. Thank you, Mike, for that. Totally agree with jousting. That's popular this morning then. But since I have my guideline that to fight anyone, I just need my hands, jousting would be a slap slugfest from my part. Joel's really thought about this. How about combining castles, accessibility, jousting, and wheelchairs? Would Sergio and the Doc, Joel be up for wheelchair jousting at the White Castle? The Stella Branco, which hasn't been mentioned yet so far. Sergio, you mentioned Ericeira, where you are, and just to be able to get down to the beach, and feel the sand between your toes or your hands, or have a little paddle even. Can you describe to us this part of the world that you're in? This is very important to us as expats to learn more about Portugal. Please describe your part of Portugal there.
Ericeira, Torres Vedras is a nice place to live. If you don't know, you will appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we have certain places here, parks, and that have certain problems of accessibility. In beautiful place that you can enjoy a visit. Wonderful and beautiful, and on the beautiful way.
Yes.
And we have beautiful beaches here, and Torres Vedras is a place that receives we call it they receive something from the UK, the European, the Union, of a city of development, society development, something like that.
Okay. And what's the benefit of that? What will happen in Torres Vedras as a result?
They are creating more opportunities for the people who has difficult like if you walk with a wheelchair, if you walk with you have problems on your legs or
Oh, okay.
something like that. Everything.
So they've got a special status, and they're making a particular effort then in Torres Vedras, by the sound of it. So that's a good city to put on your list. If you have such issues, it might be a good place to start. You might be better catered for than some other Portuguese cities.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. It's interesting. Torres Vedras has been on my radar recently. I hear it's quite a kind of spiritual city as well, and there are a lot of complementary and alternative practitioners there. That's another consideration for some people. Is it a bit of a spiritual place, Torres Vedras, in your experience, Sergio?
What? Sorry.
Are there like spiritual? Does it have a bit of a spiritual vibe? A lot of Reiki practitioners and complementary therapies and like places where you can get a transcendental massage. Where Doc's interested now.
Oh yeah. Lots of place there.
Yeah, have you been there, Doc, to Torres Vedras?
No, not yet. You have to remember, Carl. We arrived on the 24th of August last year, and first of all, it was very nice and hot, but we were getting settled in. Then we had the things we're getting worried about, the COVID, and we had Alicia going to school. Then we had the lockdown and the winter weather, so we haven't done a lot of sightseeing more than we went to Nazaré when it was nice. We've done the beaches. We've been to Fatima and Pattaya, but we've got lots of places still to go. So Torres Vedras is one of them.
Same here. And Colin's saying Torres Vedras is a proper farmers market town and has the history of the Peninsular Wars and the lines of Torres. Now, I thought that's why you were put off going to Torres Vedras, because it looks like lines of Tories there. So don't worry, it's lines of Torres. Hello, nice channel. Says this. I can't. Forgive me. I don't understand the symbols well enough to guess your nationality there. That's my embarrassment there. But a lovely little text-based emoji there. I wish I could do things like that. This person, I don't know your name, can't decipher that. I'm planning to acquire a D7 visa next year, and before purchasing property, I want to travel around Portugal and look around, see what it's like for a year if possible. That is a very, very good strategy. Is there a service like excuse me, is there a service like virtual residence or just proof of residence? That's one for, I don't quite understand the question, but it's Japanese, says Joel. Look at that. Japanese there, Joel, straight on that. That's one to ask in our business directory, EI Migration, and our great friend Gilda, I would say, to decipher that correctly, virtual residence or proof of residence, and what you're going to need, especially with the D7. So talk to Gilda there, and forgive me for not being able to see what your name is. Maybe you can tell us. So Sergio, Doc, as we conclude this morning, thank you, Sergio, for joining us and for being with us for so long this morning. Ask anything about Portugal Accessibility Special. Let's be sort of positive and future focused. What sort of world would you like to see? What can be done? What should be done, Sergio, as we go into the future for Portugal in terms of accessibility for people?
We are beginning right now. We are beginning with this conversation. We are beginning to change something.
Yeah.
It's a long way. I know that it's a long way, but we not will give up. And we're gonna try to. Sorry about my English.
Don't worry, seriously, no problem.
I gotta think some words, It's you gotta learn Portuguese. You gotta speak Portuguese.
Yeah, that's true. There's no question about that, Sergio. I've already apologized.
No, I'm done. and we gotta change that this feeling that people need, and I'm gonna try to do this in Portugal, because we need.
Yeah.
We never know the day of tomorrow, so you gotta think, for me and for others. So
Absolutely.
we're gonna do that.
Yes, and
That's for sure.
it's the mark of a civilized society, isn't it? You know, take a view that takes in all of us, rather than just, you know, there are some selfish tendencies, no question about that, in the world we live in, and this can be the making of us, I think, to think in this way, to think broadly. You know, nothing about us without us. That type of thinking, inclusion, and accessibility, and just thinking what it might be like for other people, but not then just delivering what you think would be great for other people. Involvement. Sergio, thank you so much. We'll come to Doc now. What's your vision for the future, Doc?
Oh, well, my vision for the future, I doubt I'll realize it in my lifetime. But yes, we need to have an built environment which is designed with the abilities of everyone in mind. We need, and this is where Portugal is way ahead of the UK, a general understanding and acceptance of just a cultural. So the idea that, you know, people look at me horrified when I join the end of a queue, as if there's something wrong with me, and I just get ushered to the front of the queue, which is sometimes embarrassing. However, you know, you'll see someone with a stick who's having difficulty, and it's not so that's not so common. So we need to ensure that we build on the really important steps that Portugal has already made, big strides that Portugal's already made in terms of culture. We need to resource things properly, and inclusion is absolutely the important thing. It's a big fight that we won in the UK about 10 years ago. The ability for groups to determine their own destiny and not to have it thrust upon them.
It's a pivotal and core value, that, isn't it? It's a changing consciousness, you know, away from, you know, what I guess is the shorthand for that is paternalism, isn't it? And thinking we know what's best for other people. So, you know, why not just ask them? We live in a world, don't we, where we're more connected than ever. It's not that difficult to ask people what they think about things and include them in project management these days. It's never been easier to do that. So let's do it. Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Andy, this morning. Another Andy, interesting and informative show today via Austin's Facebook here. Thank you, everyone, from Andy. Portugal is so beautiful, says Andre Cruz as well. I think we will all agree with you on that. And thank you very much. It is Tara Bagani Asimov. Good morning to you from Japan this morning. How cool is that? Just changing the subject slightly to wine. Well, before we go to wine, tomorrow night, I want to let you know that the webinar is transferring your wonga from elsewhere into Portugal, into euros. We'll be talking to Sarah Davey of Spartan FX tomorrow night on the webinar from 7:30. So register for that on the expatsportugal.com website. And thereafter, on a Thursday, it's the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. We're going to get a wine tip from Sergio. He wasn't expecting this, and I don't even know if he's a wine drinker. But can you remember what we're drinking tomorrow night, Doc? Because I can't.
Yeah, Porter 6, courtesy of myself and Leona.
Woohoo! I'm glad
Porter 6 from Vidigal in the rear.
All right. So if anyone wants to join us, it's a very easy one to find, I believe. Porter 6 is the wine for tomorrow night. Join us. We have a bit of a laugh. Nothing too pretentious. Just sipping on a Portuguese and trying a Portuguese wine. This is wine number 47 or something like that. We're getting on for trying 50 bottles. Not all in one evening, of course. That would be obscene and gluttonous. But this journey has taken us to close to 50 bottles of wine now. Sergio, are you a wine aficionado or appreciator in any way?
Oh yes,
He's Portuguese, of course he is. What's your recommendation?
Oh, You want me to open a bottle now?
Yes, of course. Or if not that, then at least an aguardente to go with your coffee. What,
No, I enjoy too much the wine, and we have beautiful wines here in Torres Vedras.
okay.
Uh, you know, the climate and the land is perfect for the culture, for the wine, right?
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely.
Wine.
Yeah. So check it out. Torres Vedras wines. Anyone? Is there a particular one? Because this really helps people who haven't got a clue, which is often the condition we find ourselves in. What brand particularly?
You want that I'm telling some wines?
Yes, I mean, ideally, yeah. Give us a label or a producer, and then hopefully they'll see the show and send you a box of them. So, which if you could have any scent, which would it be?
We have the Carvoeira.
Yeah.
We have Arneiros. We have on the we have aguardente in Lourinhã. Don't forget.
Yeah.
We have a lot more.
Very good. Okay, so maybe meet up with Sergio in Torres Vedras for a wine tasting tour. Fantastic. Thank you for those recommendations, which is a test of people's Portuguese as much as their wine knowledge, I think, there, Sergio. How do people get in touch with you to help with this task force, Sergio?
I don't have. You can call me. You can send me a mail. If you have, I'm here for any information that people need to when it comes to Portugal and they have difficulties and they want to have a adopted house or they want to make a visit here or there. I'm
available.
How can I say?
Available. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so we have a new guide, a new local helper, basically, in the form of Sergio Vieira, who joined us this morning. I hope you'll join us again, Sergio. It's been great talking to you. Inspiring, informative, and funny as well. Chatting with you this morning, as it always is when the Doc's on the show as well. Porta 6, one of James Martin's favourites. There you go. And a quick bon dia alegria from California. What I'll do then, Sergio, is get your email address and we'll put that in the on the YouTube video so that people can find out and get in touch with you and take you out for a drink whilst they ask and lunch or dinner while they're asking you questions about Portugal. It's the least they can do. Thank you so much. Muito obrigado. Muito prazer.
Obrigado.
Ciao. And Doc, any final words from you? This is your slot on a Wednesday, of course, on Ask Anything About Portugal twice a month.
Yeah, not really. It was a good session. I look forward to working with Sergio however I can. I'll get in touch with him off air and we'll see what we can do.
Marvellous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Cheers, Doc. Cheers, Sergio. Thank you, everyone who tuned in this morning, and we'll see you soon. Take care and bye for now. We're talking about Solga tomorrow with Michael, who's joining us. Keep your eye on social media for more details about that. A lesser-known part of Portuguese culture that Michael's helping out with, who comes from Miranda do Corvo. So we'll find out about that part of Portugal, plus Solga as well. Take care and bye for now.